Okay, so this is a basic overview of what the Photoshop Workspace looks like. In this tutorial, we're not going to go over every aspect of the Photoshop Workspace because there's just too much to go over. But we are going to go over some of the basic functions and things that most beginning users like to know about when they first start working with Photoshop. So when you open Photoshop, it might look like this, or it could be a little bit more like this. You could have these windows open or they could not be there. If yours has those windows open, then you can pretty much skip this tutorial, or you can continue watching it if you want to know how to activate and hide all of those different palettes that were up just a minute ago. So you've got Photoshop open. In order to get your workspace ready, what I like to do is have 3 or 4 of my palettes already open, and one of those is the Tools palette. And by palette, what I mean is any of the boxes or screens in Photoshop that have collections of tools that let you interact with your document somehow. So to get the Tools palette open, that's the first one. You go up to the File menu up here at the top, click on Window. When you open, it'll expand and drag all the way down to Tools, which is down here at the bottom. Any palette that is currently open or active will have a check mark next to it. So you'll see none of these have check marks because there's nothing on the screen. So click on Tools. This is the Tools palette. Has pretty much every tool that you'll be using to interact or change your document somehow in Photoshop, with the exception of filters and other effects. So if you go back to the Windows screen, you'll see that Tools now has a check mark next to it, and that means it's active. The second thing I like to have open when I start a new document is my History palette. To open that, you go back to the Window menu up here at the top, click on it, and drag down to History. And it might pop up somewhere else on your screen, but mine pops up to the left because that's usually where I have it docked. But yours could pop up over here, it could pop up on your other screen. If you have a second monitor, you'll just have to take a look around for it, but this is what it looks like. And the History palette, once you have a document open and start doing things to it, will start to record your steps one by one. And then you can go and click on a previous step to undo a step, or 6 steps back to undo 5 steps that are in front of it, and so on. So that's a good one that I like to have open. And the next one is the Layers palette. So you go back to Window up here at the top, click on Layers, which you can also access using the F7 function key on your keyboard. And you can see that other options also have these little tooltips next to them. F6 for color, F5 for brush, and so on. So you can select Layers now or hit F7 and it'll open again somewhere on your screen, here, wherever. Mine opens over here because that is also where I have that docked normally. And the Layers palette will show the different layers in which your document is organized. And by default, most new objects that you create will show up in their own individual layer. So these 3 palettes are generally the ones that I'll have open when I first start up Photoshop. And for in efforts to keep things a little bit simple, that's where we're going to leave that for now. When we get into more complicated tutorials, we'll start going into other palettes, which can be found here, like brushes and color, histogram, paragraph, text tools, things like that. But for now, we're all set and we're ready to start creating documents or editing existing ones.